Hi again, and welcome on board for the video vlog of Becoming PGS. I'm going to start by stating a few notions of hate. I receive feedback and comment doing what I do, and sometimes it is hostile and very anti-feminist and misogynist. So I'm going to state this very clearly. I do not hate men. I do not hate men as a feminist. I do not hate men as a public speaker or a gender equality advocate. I do not hate men as a private person. So now, once that is off the table, I can tell you instead what I do hate. I do hate the hegemonic masculinity demands where women and men and other people who do not feel like they fit into that binary are suffering from. So these are these kind of hindering notions of what you are supposed to be like when you represent something particular. That is something that I do hate in such a way when it's harmful and damaging and outcluding perspectives and understandings. So and sometimes this can be very hindering, and I'm going to give you now an example which kind of explains the earlier notion a little bit. So I think, and I claim, that masculinity in politics is such an hindering notion. Now, if I would describe you a politician, a random politician, and I wouldn't give you the gender of the politician, would you associate a word he or she for that politician? So masculinity and gender are not the only things that can be thought and pondered upon when you are thinking about discrimination of political world. You can, for example, talk about class and educational backgrounds. You can talk about ethnicity, sexuality, for example. Why is it that a politician would have to be heterosexual compared to being homosexual, for example? Or you can talk about ableness. So masculinity and gender are not the only issues at hand, but masculinity in politics is a dear child of mine, that a research interest of mine that I'm exploring, hopefully very, very long time in the future. So I am interested in the question of why 9 out of 10 international political leaders are men. As given in the earlier blog posts, there aren't any kind of evidence that the male gender would be superior in any way when it comes to decision making and solving puzzles, so to say. So I'm going to give you now a definition for masculinity politics, since this must be a new thing and an idea for many of you. For world-known masculinity scholar and highly cited Raven Connell defines masculinity politics as mobilizations and struggles where the masculine gender is at issue, and with it, men's positioning in gender relations. So masculinity is manifest also in women. Femininity is manifest also in men. But masculine and the hegemonic masculinity demands of the political world have something to benefit if you are a man. Quote continues, "In such politics, masculinity is made a principal theme, not taken granted as a background." So what I argue here is that masculinity is a premise, it is a norm, it is a structure for politics. So, for example, if you think about the gendered nature of the state, which is a relatively new issue in political science, is the basic claim that if you would have to think about a gendered nature, a feminine or masculine aspect of a state, what would it be? Would you understand Saudi Arabia and Sweden in the same way? Would their masculinities or femininities or overall understanding of state X be the same? Or there is a research understanding called feminist institutionalism, meaning that the structures and the traits and the trajectories of getting, for example, to be a high political executive, they are constructed to be masculine, meaning preferring men of very particular kind as well. So if you have the different kind of ladders of political decision making, you have the highest executives, and then you have, for example, national parliaments, and then you have local regional councils, what have you, and so forth. If the whole construction of it is masculine in nature, meaning that it lures more men to get involved, then also the people who are getting the leverage from one step and ladder to another are more likely to be men. So women do not have the same kind of possibility to gain that kind of a merit that is needed for the highest political executive offices. And think about just entering that field. If we have a German speaker and we have a French speaker, and both of these people are moving to France, which one of them are more comfortable with moving to the country? Which one of them know the language already, the habits and the customs, so it comes more naturally? The adjustment process isn't as big of a deal. Think about it. And also, it's not just the structural issues of the masculinity in politics, it is also the voting behavior. So, the voters associate stereotypically masculine traits as beneficial and essential for political executive offices. For example, it can be such an underlying claim that you don't even think about, such as the pitch of a person's voice. Now, the pitch of a voice doesn't have any kind of scientific evidence that if you have a high pitch, you would make a bad political leader, and if you would have a low pitch, you would have a good political leader. It doesn't make sense. But at the same time, that is associated for political leadership. So next time when you hear a high female political executive speak, pay attention, for example, to their voice, the way they behave. Are they more masculine or feminine? So what that tells about the masculinity demands of the office. That is the underlying claim. Masculinity, politics, and the masculine nature of politics is explaining a various different gender inequalities in the field of politics. So now I'm not just going to throw this out there as a food for thought. I'm also going to give you 3 notions of what to do about it. First, think about your own rulers, your own governments, your own national parliaments from the perspective of masculinity and critical masculinity understanding. Are they more suitable for men? Why? Second, think about your own voting behavior. When was the last time that you voted? May it be in presidential elections, may it be national parliament, regional councils, municipality, what have you. Take that just an example. If you think about the person that you were voting for, what were the reasons that you were giving to yourself? Why are you voting this particular person? And could they be affected by the fact that perhaps the position has been previously held by a man? Perhaps the position has always been held by a man. And thirdly, next time, as simple as that, vote women. It has tremendous impact of how many women are entering in the field of politics, of course, from the voting systems. But also, if you have a female political executive, then it's also putting that kind of a new kind of an image for the viewers of the national elections, or what elections have you, who are on the other side of the TV screen, that politicians can be also women. Politicians should be also women. It has tremendous impact of the conscious and unconscious behavior of people when they also hit the voting age. Think about a small girl on the other side of that screen. What kind of understanding she gets out of the world? What kind of dreams and aspirations she might have in this life if she already sees that somebody has been successing in that place and in that position before her. Thank you so much for watching.